So as many of you may know from my last Famicom pickups video, I'm going for a full Famicom collection of loose cartridges. That's 1,051 loose Famicom games in the total collection. I'm currently just over 600, so I'm over halfway there. And about every month, I tend to get a box of new kind of bulk Famicom games to add to the collection and move towards my end goal. So I like to just go through these. This is my first time opening these boxes and go through with you guys what it is that I found, talk about the games that I know about. I've got my computer here to look up the games that I don't know anything about, and should be a lot of fun. So let's get started. First game I'm going to pull out here is, oh, you know what? This is a Hal Laboratories RPG. What is this guy called? Hal YJ Famicom. There we go. Gozanji Yakita Chindochu. So, Gozanji Yaji Kita Chindochu. Blah. Okay, so this guy, I have looked this guy up before. It's actually more of an adventure game, like a Uninvited or Shadowgate type adventure game. But it's based on, I believe, a book series about just kind of two lovable idiots going on a journey through like Edo era Japan. And it's a comedy adventure, which actually were fairly uncommon for this era. We had a lot of real serious like murder mystery type stuff, but to be a comedy adventure on the Famicom, I'm hoping there's an English translation for this, because that should be fun to take a look at. So yeah, here it is, Gozanji Yaji Kita Chindochu. Whew, it's sometimes hard to read it off the screen because different links put the spaces in different places. All right, next one here we got Technos Japan US Championship V-Ball. So I believe this came out in the US as Super Spike Volleyball. And so, yeah, I think we did get this game, and I mean, it's a fun volleyball game, as most of the Technos Japan sports games are. So, cool to have the Famicom version in my collection. Next we have Godzilla. I believe here it was Godzilla King of Monsters. And side-scrolling, huge sprites for an NES game, but side-scrolling kind of punch 'em up Godzilla action game. You know, I don't think I've ever actually played this one, but the fact that it did come out in the US means that I assume there has to be some level of quality to it, because most of the licensed stuff that didn't hit the US, well, let me say this. If the licensed stuff hit the US, it usually has some reason to play it. All right, so, all right, so this is called Family Quiz, and the kanji on it suggests it is a 4-player quiz game. Okay. Oh, and actually the picture suggests it's a 4-player quiz game too. Interesting. So the picture on this cartridge has me wondering something. So it shows 4 people, each sitting in a seat, attached to the kind of the back plate, lit up back plate of this quiz show. And every time you answer a question, well, let me say it this way. Legend of the Mystical Ninja used this exact same look in Level 3's quiz show in the amusement park. And in that one, every time you answer a question, the seat goes up. And every time you miss a question, the seat goes down. And the first person to reach the top from the seat going up enough wins the overall quiz game. And this appears to probably work the same way, which suggests to me that this wasn't a Mystical Ninja creation, but this might actually be a trope, possibly taken from a real TV quiz show. You know, I'm going to actually do a quick Google search here on that, because that is truly interesting to me. Let's see, Japanese quiz show. Let's just try moving chairs. Let's see. All right, so quick Google search is not making it obvious whether or not this is a real thing. If anybody knows where this trope came from, why I've now seen this in at least 2 places, please let me know. Was this a real show? Anyway, family quiz from Athena. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and pull these next 3 as one group because I am not going to take the time right now on camera to figure out what the heck they are. All 3 of them are SD Gundam titles. And there were like 10 plus SD Gundam games on the Famicom, ranging from turn-based strategy to card battle to role-playing games to side-scrolling action games. There were just so many games in this series, and sometimes it's hard to figure out which one am I actually holding in my hand. So, yeah, all 3 of these are SD Gundam, and probably within one of those genres. All right, what do we got next here? Let's grab Bloody Warriors, Shango Troop Strikes Back. This is another one that I'm interested to look up whether or not it has an English translation. This is apparently like an RPG for hardcore RPGers, a highly difficult, kind of technical RPG. But I really know nothing about it beyond that. And just with that sort of a description, I'm at least going to check it out even in Japanese as far as I can go to see what did it do differently. But if I can find an English translation, that could be really fun to dive real deep into it. So yeah, I would not be surprised if you guys see this one pop up again after I've given it a try. This next one is going to require a little bit of explanation. Final Fantasy II. Now, if you were paying attention to my last pickups video, you may have heard me say, oh, look, I just got Final Fantasy III, and now that completes my Famicom Final Fantasy set. And that apparently wasn't true, because I had miscounted. I had 1 and 3, but not 2. So this remedies that. I now have a complete Famicom Final Fantasy set of 1, 2, 3, and the 1 and 2 combo cart that came out. I actually now have 2 copies of Final Fantasy III, so luckily they're only like, $1 or $2 games, so it's not like I blew a whole bunch of money on it, but yeah, find something to do with that extra. All right. What's next here? Okay, next we've got another one that came out in the US, 10-Yard Fight. So this was a admittedly mediocre football game. I liked it as a kid, but it was no Tecmo Bowl. So most interesting thing I think about this is these IREM games. All of the IREM games came with this little, you see it here, this light built into the cartridge. If you remember the Famicom, it wasn't that you slid the cartridges in like an original Nintendo. They plugged in the top just like a Super Nintendo. And so the cartridge is sticking out, and when you turn on your Famicom, the light would turn on. Did absolutely nothing for the game, was kind of pointless, was kind of fun. So this is 10-Yard Fight, one of the IREM releases. And the other interesting thing about what IREM and Nichibutsu both did is this is number 02. They numbered their cartridges so that you can actually look through the whole set and see, do I have all of IREM's games, all of Nichibutsu's games? And like we see that now with companies like Limited Run Games. But it was really fun to see it all the way back to the mid-80s on the Famicom. All right, what we have next here? Aha! And of course, thank you for making a fool out of me, IREM. Right after I get done saying that every IREM cartridge has a light, here's an IREM cartridge without one. Let's see. 1988. I wonder if they stopped adding the lights. later in company releases, because that's a fairly late release. But this one's kind of interesting in some ways. So this is Kyotaro Nishimura Mystery, Blue Train Murder Case. And this is, I brought this up a little bit on my last video as well. So murder mystery adventure games were huge on the Famicom, starting with the Protopia serial murder case back in 1983, created by Yuji Horii, the same guy who later created Dragon Quest. Yes, he was a pioneer in 2 genres, not just one. Protopia serial murder case basically invented the visual novel as we know it. And this looks like 5 years later, Irem gets in on the action with Blue Train Murder Case. The art on the back looks pretty solid. I'm interested to see what did they do to kind of improve on the genre or change the genre over the 5 years. And number 11. So, yep, another numbered cartridge, just without a light. What do we got next here? Oh, what the heck are you? Oh, these old Bandai releases are some of the hardest to figure out, because what we've got is a whole lot of kanji, some characters that look plucked straight out of a typical anime, and really no easily readable iconography to speak of. Oh, there's a little, actually, there's some hiragana there. Maybe that can help me. Let's see. What am I looking at? Okay. Actually, the easiest way to find this might be just to do Bandai 1988 Famicom image search. There it is. And that's sometimes easier than trying to translate the hiragana. Let's see, what do we got? Sakigake Otoko Juku. Okay, let's look that up. Sakigake Otoko Juku. Here we go. It is based on manga, of course, about a private school that teaches troubled teens. That is about the last thing that I expected to read when looking at this feudal Japan style cover art. Translates to Charge, Men's Private School #1 Student, a martial arts action game. Okay. 2D side-scroller martial arts action game with Double Dragon style boss battles. Okay, cool. That should be fun to check out. Let's see. This one also harkens back to the last pickups video where I showed you Robot Gyro, the Rob the Robot companion piece that got released in the US as Gyromite. So this is the companion to that game, Robot Block, released in the US as Stack Up. Now, Stack Up in the US, I have no idea what that's selling for now, but it's probably a good over $100 for a loose cartridge for a copy of Stack Up at this point. This is not that way. The Japanese release of Robot Block, you can get this for $1 or $2 a cartridge. Same game, works with Rob the Robot. It's just, it was not as rare as it was in the US release. So, yeah, Robot Block, that gives me the pair of both of the robot games, wherever I put the other one. All right. And I told you these were popular. Murder Club, which I am sure is another Famicom adventure game murder mystery. Let's see, Murder Club Famicom is another Famicom adventure game murder mystery. Yep, there we are. All right. Yep, that is a very, very popular genre on the Famicom. Okay, now we have Superstar Pro Wrestling. So this one, so this is Pony Canyon. Pony Canyon is an interesting beast. They're a subsidiary of FCI, and their games are all over the place in terms of quality. We got some stuff that's considered some of the worst junk on the NES from Pony Canyon and FCI, like Super Pitfall and Hide Glide, and at the same time, we got some really great, unique, fun games like Phantom Fighter out of the same group. So I have kind of a soft spot for FCI, whether it be their good or their bad games. And anytime Pony Canyon shows up on something, I'm interested in looking more. So let's see if this came out in the US as anything. WCW Wrestling. Okay, so this is the Japanese version of what ended up getting the WCW license in the US. Well, that makes sense. Very cool. All right, so this is from Natsume, and it is called, it looks like it's called Dora. I'm sure there's more to the name than that, but Dora is usually enough to find more. Dora, 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 Kofuku o Yobu. It's Dora with a little 3 next to it for, I guess, the 3 Doras. Okay. So what is this guy? Mahjong RPG. Cool. Let's see, I don't have any screenshots of this guy. Okay. So what I'm seeing here is a world map that looks something like Super Mario Brothers 3 that you move around on. You've got statistics, hit points, magic points, and so on. You've got combat in a Mahjong style. And is that cutscenes in a Final Fantasy style? Wow, this thing is all over the place. Huh. Okay. That actually seems like it would be interesting enough to take a look at. Cool. So, Dora, the Mahjong RPG. There we go. Get the light. Boulder Dash. So Boulder Dash is a classic kind of a PC, early PC / arcade game. I think it was arcade. Atari 8-bit computers. Did it ever hit the arcade? No. Anyway, I think I played this on Commodore 64. I think we got it on the Amiga. We got it on a number of the mid 80s to early 90s PCs, microcomputers. So this is sort of a take on Dig Dug or some of those type of like digging games. I think there was actually a few years ago, I think there was a mobile kind of reinvention of this series. But yeah, Boulder Dash for the Famicom. Let's see, what do we got here? The Triathlon. So I assume this is a sports game of some sort, a triathlon game, one would assume. But what I'm curious about is whether or not this came out in the US. Let's see, the Triathlon K Amusement Learning. Not seeing any sign that we got this guy in the US. So, oh, we did we? Oh, in Japan only. Nope. Okay. Athletic sports game where the player competes in a series of triathlons, swimming, cycling, and running. And in each stage, you must mash the B button, similar to track and field. Okay, so it's a track and field style triathlon game. Cool. Hey, look, more SD Gundam, but this one will actually be easy to figure out what kind of SD Gundam game it is, because it has an English name, Battle of Universal Century. So let's see. This one is... I'd say it'll be easy to figure out what kind of game it is, but I can't even tell from the screenshots what kind of game this is. Looks like some sort of a strategy game? Turn-based strategy, it looks like. Okay. Okay, so this is part of the Gachapon Senshi series. Kind of a turn-based strategy series. Okay. Cool. So more SD Gundam. All right, we got a few left in here. Let's start right there with one of the Family Trainer games. So, so Bandai had a bunch of these Family Trainer series, and I believe their idea behind them was family-friendly games that were based around sports and athletics, and used the Bandai. Originally, Bandai created a pad that later became the Power Pad in the U.S. So let's see, Family Trainer. Which one is this? Miero Daisaku-sen. Okay. What are we looking at here? Family Trainer, Miero Daisaku-sen. Famicom. Epic Maze Battle. Oh, this looks like a Power Pad game that never came out in the US. And it is a game in which you explore 3D mazes, kind of those first-person maze dungeon crawler. That, working on a Power Pad, is intriguing to me. Cool. All right, well, that is the first of two Family Trainer games. This one needs no looking up. So this one in the US was released as Dance Aerobics. So another Power Pad game, this time for working out and dancing. Never played it. Remember seeing it as a kid, but I could not vouch for its quality. This appears to be a Formula One game from Namco. So let's see, with 91 in the title. So let's just look up Formula One 91 Famicom. See what I can find. No, that's not getting it. Okay, so let's try Famicom Namco 91 Racing. It's not Family Circuit. Or is it Family Circuit? Maybe it's it's Family Circuit 91. Yep, okay. Top-down racer. Looks a bit like a more serious RC Pro-Am with Formula One cars. So it's funny because the last two games we were looking at was Family Trainer, which is a Bandai property. This is Family Circuit, which is actually part of another series that also used the word family, as done by Namco. And that's where we get games, we get Family Pinball, and there's a horse racing one, a boxing one, a whole bunch of those with Namco's family in the name. So, yeah, don't know how they got away with that one. Maybe you just can't trademark adding family to the beginning of a name of a game. But yeah, Bandai and Namco were both doing their own family series. That leads us to the last one here. One more Namco title. Whoop, there we go. Mappy Kids. So Mappy Kids is a spin-off of Mappy and Mappy Land, which were both popular arcade games that got Nintendo and Famicom releases. And I'm not sure what Mappy Kids did differently. So let's find out. Oh wow, this looks absolutely nothing like the other Mappy games. This is a traditional 2D side-scrolling platformer with art that actually looks straight out of the Tom and Jerry game for the NES. You know, it's a bit like Capcom's Rescue Rangers. Okay. And 2 players simultaneous. Now that in itself gets me interested. Okay. So Mappy Kids, the side-scrolling platformer that I will most definitely be giving a try. Awesome. All right, so that is this month's drop of new Famicom games to add to the ever-growing collection. I assume, probably within the next month or so, I'll probably have another set, maybe not quite this big, but let me know down in the comments if you're interested in me continuing to share my finds as I move towards this full collection of 1051 Famicom titles. So I thank you for your time, and you have a great day.